Welcome and thanks for joining us for another episode. We're going to talk today about asset discovery and mapping. So we're going to be talking about some tools you want to be familiar with for discovering and mapping network assets. I'm pretty excited. You want to just jump right into it, Daniel?
I say we do that very thing.
Okay, I'm excited. We got a list, so I'm going to go ahead and start.
Where would you like to begin then?
We do like to have a list of things to go through.
Yeah.
So we want to talk about map scans first. So what do we mean when we say map scan?
So map scans can be ultimately one of two different things, right? You can map the network out, like what are the assets that are in my network, and let me start making a list of those things, and then you have an actual map, like a graphical representation of those things. So that can be taken one of two ways, and it just depends on the context and what it's going to be. So if I said, "Hey, let's map out the network," you'd be like, "Cool. How would we do that?" Well, I needed to look for all the devices. Cool. How would I do that? Mm-hmm. Ultimately, I need to see, a lot of times the way it'll work out in practicality is that we probably have a list of these things already that has begun, but sometimes documentation being what it is doesn't typically reflect reality. Right? I don't know if you've ever dealt with this, Sophia. You probably have dealt with this as well. You're like, oh yeah, we've got X, Y, and Z. You're like, well, what's A, B, and C over here? Mm-hmm. Well, you're talking about A, B, and C. Well, yeah, there's these three other devices in that closet. What are those? I did not know that was there. So asset discovery, kind of a big deal, right? That we know everything that's on our network. And we should know that. We should have it documented and put down. That's what mapping a network is all about. Is A, I make sure that I am aware of all the assets that are on my network. And B, if I actually have a map or some sort of chart that lays that information out, I can check that. I can verify that the network is what I think it should be. So that's the idea behind map scans. Now, a couple ways in which you can do this. Just run a good old-fashioned ping sweep, right? Use a tool. There are plenty of tools out there. We're going to go over a couple of tools. The one just kind of jumps out in my head is a little tool called Nmap. I'll give you three guesses what Nmap stands for.
Network map?
A network mapper, I believe. Yeah. You're so close. So close.
3 letters off.
Yeah.
I'm counting it.
Judges,
I'm counting that as a win.
The judges will allow it.
It's a win for me.
All right, there we go. There it is. So it could be an easy done. Now, obviously, a ping sweep could be a part of a tool suite. I think SolarWinds has things like this. You can kind of go out and look for, but a simple ping sweep where you're just behind a terminal, depending on whether you're running Windows, maybe you PowerShell script this, maybe you Bash script this, whatever flavor of operating system you like to use to do this kind of thing. Definitely up to you. I'm a Linux guy, so I wrote my own script. I'll kind of show you what I got going on here. I have it in a GitHub repo, so I guess I'll have to put that in our show notes so that you can go out and download my thing here. But let's see here. I think I keep it in my tools directory, and I just called it Sweeper. There it is, right there. Yes. CD into Sweeper. Hi. Oh, it's all lowercase. There we go. And then I just have this sweeper.sh. Easy peasy. Do a .sweeper.sh. Let it fire off. It finds all my different network adapters. I pick which network adapter I want by using the number code over here. So it says type the number of the network to scan. I will go with, this is a private network, so this will make it easy. So we'll just go with 3. And it found 3 assets. Of course, that's a very simplistic form of this. If you have a large enterprise network, obviously that's going to take a little more time, and it's going to have a lot more network systems in there. But at the end of the day, if this is my network, I have successfully mapped it. I know what assets are there, or at least the ones that are responding. Of course, there could always be devices that are down or are not responding for X, Y, or Z reasons. And that's why it's always nice that when you put something into place, you write down those details that there is a device here. It should have an IP address. It has a MAC address of this. This is the manufacturer, right? Doing that asset management. I guess asset management is the term we use, right? And having all those details so that when I run a scan like this, I should be seeing that reflected here. And if I don't, well, I got a problem. Okay, I got a machine that's down or whatever, right? But if we don't do something like this and map out that network, then the network becomes this amorphous thing that we don't really understand what's going on. And that's never a good thing for security.
That's true. Know thy, not know thy enemy. I guess it's not really your enemy. But
Yeah, thyself.
know thy network.
Know thyself.
Know
right,
thyself.
Yes.
And then just so I make sure I have this right. So I'm familiar with Nmap, or I'm familiar at least with what it is. ZenMap is the GUI for Nmap?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
So if you're in a Windows world, you're probably using ZenMap. If you're a Linux kind of person, you're probably using Nmap. That's just a generality. Use what you like, right? Run what you brung. If you like ZenMap, go with it. It has some nice features, which we'll talk about here in just a few minutes.
Okay.
But Nmap, I'm a scripting guy, so I like to be able to like script things out. So I typically just use Nmap myself.
Okay. Good to know. They sound so similar. I was like, they have to be related.
Yeah,
so
they are.
That's good to know. And then we're going to talk about device fingerprinting as well. When I hear fingerprinting, I think of like OS fingerprinting. Is that kind of what this is?
That is absolutely a part of this. Remember, I was talking about the details about your asset, right? Oh, okay. It's not just some random, box of magic that sits on a network with a cable plugged into it or a wireless connection, right? There's a purpose for it, and there's a manufacturer who made it. There's a dollar value assigned to how much it cost us to acquire said device, the manpower it took to get it hooked and connected to the network, and then, of course, the workload it takes to administer and maintain said device. So fingerprinting the device is going to help us be able to really understand, okay, I know that asset. I know what it's for. So we want to kind of figure out things like operating system. Well, okay, how many Windows operating system devices do I have on my network? That comes into play a lot of times when it comes to licensing, right? Because you got to pay for those licenses to run that Windows operating system, and that around budgetary time is a good thing. So if I know how many Windows machines I should have, and I see something that deviates from that, then I need to start looking into that. And it's a good use of my time, especially if I'm seeing more than less. Does that make sense? If I'm seeing, yes, I know all of these devices. What the heck is that?
Right.
That's when you're like, and plus we don't run that version of Windows, or we don't. You start to get the idea.
Some anomalies that you start
exactly.
to see. Mm-hmm.
But if you don't know what they are, if you don't have that
like baseline
fingerprint, if you don't have that fingerprinted out, it just becomes like, well, I guess that's all right.
Yeah.
And that's not an acceptable way to go, right? So we want to understand those operating systems. We also want to know what type of device this is. What's its purpose in life? Cool, so it's running Windows. Is it a desktop? If so, why is it running Windows Server 2019? Mm-hmm. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It seems like that would be more apt for a server.
No.
I know, right? So why do we have this as a desktop? Well, maybe that was a clerical error, or maybe it wasn't.
Yeah.
These are the kind of things. So everything should be lining up. As we look at our network, as we've mapped our assets and we've discovered them, and we've put them into this world that we can kind of understand and analyze, now we can start hitting those anomalies. You mentioned the term baseline. We're going to discuss that more. Mm-hmm. And it's definitely a term you need to be familiar with. It's a good term to understand. I need to be able to know at a glance, this is what normal looks like in my network.
I guess that would be more for like network activity, right?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Right. But it's still a good idea to just have theoretically rolling around upstairs, because that's why we do these things.
Right.
I can't take a baseline if I don't know what a baseline should look like, right? So what type of device is this? Is it a server? Is it a desktop? Is it a mobile device? Is this one of our IoT devices? Is it just like a piece of networking hardware, like a switch or a router or something to that effect? Firewall? I don't know. But I need to be able to look that up and everything be cataloged and put together. Last but not least, we need to know the ports and services that are running on that device. So if it is a server, what kind of server is it? Is it a file server? Is it a web server? If so, I should be seeing, so let's say, for instance, that it's a web server. I should probably be seeing ports 80 and 443 open on that device. All right, so I've got type is server, subtype web server, ports and services should be 80 and 443. It's running operating system, Windows with IIS as the web server, right? I've got that all sketched out. Now I know exactly what that does. I know why it's there. I know what its purpose in life is. Yeah. And I can easily be able to admin that or triage any problems or security issues that might arise because of what it's running. I know if it was targeted for an attack, it's most likely through the web application. It's most likely maybe a web app that's hooked into a back end of a database or something to that effect. What are the connections that it makes? Again, that goes back to the idea of mapping. Not only what are these devices, but what are they connected to and how are they connected to them? Mm-hmm. So another important piece of the puzzle. I'm glad we kind of got here because I forgot to mention that. So
okay.
how serendipitous.
It always works out.
It
like
does.
that. We make a great team.
Yeah.
So in order to carry out asset discovery and mapping, which is what this whole episode's about, we have some tools that we can use. We already kind of mentioned Nmap or ZenMap, and then there's a few others, right?
Yes, there are a few others. Obviously, you can roll your own. I built one myself. We saw that. But let's take a look at Nmap. Let's take a look at ZenMap. And then we've got another one called Angry IP Scanner, which I just love the name of. And then Maltego, which is an interesting but very comprehensive, hear that and hear complex piece of software that can help you map a network. It's very cool, but it takes some learning to become fluent in Maltego. Makes sense? So let's jump in here. Let me get out of this thing here. And I'm going to I'll just Control-C this. And for an Nmap scan, I can easily just do a ping sweep, right? So Nmap-SN, and then give it a network. So 192.168.202.0/24. It takes CIDR notation pretty easily. Fire and forget. Wait for it. Obviously, a lot of our job is just waiting for computers to compute. This one finally got done. You'll notice we're seeing a very similar response to what we saw before. 132, and 200. Well, great. Excellent. We're all on the same page here. Let's jump over to, I've got ZenMap installed right here on this Windows machine because I don't want to leave Windows out. Windows has its place in the world. And here it is. And again, I just kind of give it a target, 192.168.202.0. Right? That was it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then 24, like losing my mind. Jump over here to, you have the profile and tells you what type of scan you want to run. Hit that drop down and just look for a ping scan. Hit that. And then you grab that scan button, fire and forget. We start waiting for it to do its thing, as it were, again.
Go watch some Star Trek.
Right. This is fun. Yeah, I do tend to have Star Trek on because I'm a big nerd. So there's that, and then it's done. Oh, look, there it is. It sees 132, and 200. We see 254 jumped up here. It's I guess that's all part of the virtualization. You can see this is all virtualization. So
right.
That's why we're getting that. So there's ZenMap. Like I said, it can also do some more interesting things like topology. Look at this.
Ooh.
Right? This is a mapped network. So we talked about mapping, how that can be both, hey, what devices are there, but also a graphical representation of what that looks like. And I'm just kind of zooming in here, and we can see I can move these around. I can make this a little more usable.
That's fun.
But I'm getting the idea of what they're connected to, how they're connected, what's this subnet. A bit of a graphical representation. I can hover to discover, I think. You can click on these things and do all sorts of fun stuff with this.
Oh, that's neat. I like when they put it in picture format for me. It just makes it more fun. It's more fun to look at.
Yeah.
So that's ZenMap, and then I was talked about Nmap. And then Angry IP Scanner, which I hear that and I think of the TV show Angry Beavers.
Yes.
For some reason. Pops into my head.
I know that one. That's a good show. It's very entertaining.
There you go. Finally, a reference we both get.
We have hits. We have hits. All right. So, yeah, I've got Angry. I'll close this. I've got Angry IP Scanner right here. It's just a download away, just internet it. And there you go. Let's see here. Angry IP Scanner is a tool. Yep. Let's go ahead and hit next. And next, and next, and next, and close. Excellent. So you next your way through this. As you can see, the reason they call it Angry IP Scanner is because it's very fast. It performs, it scans very, very quickly. Nmap is not known for it being the fastest thing in town. It's known for its integrity of scan results. So, you're always kind of like giving and taking whatever tool you use. So maybe you use multiple tools. Could always be helpful. All right, and in here, I'll put the IP range of 192.168.202.0 and then 202.254. Bada bing, and I hit start, and it's going through here. You'll notice it's kind of outputting everything, and you'll have question marks next to it. But if it hits on something where it actually replies, or something else occurs, like we saw, okay, now it's giving me red, so it knows it did not respond. But if I get something other than red, it's angry at me because it's the Angry IP Scanner, and I'm trying to make it work while it's working. I guess I'll wait until you're done. Wait for all threads to terminate, it says. Right there. Wait for all threads to terminate. Okay, geez.
Take your time. Take your time.
So angry.
No.
I know, right?
It's almost like
This
they named
thing,
it that for a reason.
Right? Unfortunately, okay, it looks, okay, there we go. It's done. Not too long, right? This says it found 5 hosts. Now, it's another interesting fact is that we've seen all of these different tools kind of come back with different responses. Again, another really good reason to use multiple tools is to kind of compare, look for that consistency. If I'm not seeing consistency, like, why does this have 5 results? Well, let's kind of go through here. It's probably because of the way that it scans is different than the other tools that we've used. So you might receive different results. So I'm just kind of scrolling through here. I'm pretty sure we're up, and there's one, right? So there's my Win 10 Pro. You'll notice 129 showed up, 132. We definitely saw 132. What else do we see? So probably because I'm pinging or scanning. I think the Angry IP Scanner also does a couple of port scans. Oh. It uses some very few common ports to assist in discovering of assets. You can do that with Nmap as well. I specifically went for just a straight up ping sweep. And then, of course, my ping sweeping utility just does a ping sweep.
Right.
So that's hence the reason we're getting differences here. But we, and of course, Microsoft doesn't like to answer pings.
That's true.
By default. I'm trying to look for other stuff. There's one right there.
Ooh.
You'll notice that one's green. The other one was blue.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that's open, but I didn't find it through a ping. I probably found it through an open port. Right?
Okay.
So there you go. That's the Angry IP Scanner. It runs well. It's a good tool. Definitely one you want to run. Let's jump back into Linux, and now let's open up Maltego. Take a look at that monkey. Maltego. This does not come installed by default. You have to sign up for the service. It is a free, this is a free version of it, or the community version, as it were. But there are pay-for versions of this. And then you have to log in, make connections, update the thing. So there's a bit of rigmarole getting to this screen. But once you're there, hit the acknowledge. And if you kind of want to see what this looks like, I think they have like let's see here. It's open.
So many options.
Yeah. It had like I must have closed it. There was a graph that was already open that had a bunch of stuff, but you can already just create a new graph.
Well, now everything's ruined.
Yeah.
I mean, now it's just...
Yeah, no, there it goes. It just takes a moment. You got to be patient there, Miss Sophia. And then you start adding things. Like if I want to add an IP4 address, you can see that that's right there. So I just grab and drop that over here. And then once that asset is a part of our show, which, yes, I see it's for demo use only. You can still drag and drop, I would assume.
It says recently.
There it goes. It
nice.
Just was hating my guts. And then, of course, you can double-click on this and change it to, 192.168. This is going to be great for starting to really map out that network. You have a lot of different options over here. I can say, this is a desktop computer. I can attach this to that desktop computer as its interface into the network. I can give us a company name. I have all these different things, like it has a lot of cryptocurrency. I can make groups, industries. Maltego is, like I said, extremely complex. So you have the ability to come in here and create all these different assets, link them together. You can see you have different ways in which you can link them together as far as like a layout goes, what view you would like to use. And then, of course, all the, what was this, 202, we'll say, 132 or whatever. Hit that. I think you can click on these, which will open up more properties that you can go in here.
Ooh.
Any attachments, notes, and other properties that might be associated with that specific device. Add all that detail in here. So Maltego is definitely the best place to go when it comes to the overall look at this is our organization, this is our environment, this is all our assets and how they're connected, how we put them together, where they reside, what VLAN are they in, under what IP block do they go, what's their subnet mask, and then here are the details for each one of the devices that are in those VLANs under that subnet, and so on and so forth, right? So Maltego, good tool.
Correct me if I'm wrong. It seems to me like all the details would be good if you need detail of that level, but even just having the visual representation and the little like icons and stuff, almost like a key, might help with like maybe you have to show this diagram to somebody in the company that's maybe like C-level or something that's not as familiar with like the inner workings of the network, but they need to kind of have an overarching view.
Absolutely. It's a great tool to be able to use for people that don't maybe understand all the technical details that are going on, but they can understand a visual representation of this is our network. Here's all the things in our network.
Right.
You understand this is our organization. You understand these are our servers, and that kind of stuff makes more sense to that. And even for us as technical people, that can be really easy to start kind of going down the rabbit hole of where exactly is the thing that's causing me the problem.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've said it before. I'll say it again. I love stuff that helps me to visualize. So that seems like a really neat tool if I can figure out how to use it, if I can get familiar with it.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for walking us through these tools. We got to talk about Altigo, Angry IP scanners, Nmap, Nmap, and we also talked about just the importance of asset discovery and mapping. So thanks for joining us for this episode, and we'll see you next time.